And we're live.
Hey,
Will Perna.
Johnny Weekender.
He'll never die. He'll never die.
No, you won't.
Jesus. He'll never die. What an amazing man that character is.
Are you thinking about having it on your tombstone? I think you should seriously put consideration into it.
If the Weekender didn't turn into what it did, I maybe would consider it. An artist formerly known as
Johnny Weekender. Yep.
Oh man. So that's how far back we go.
Yes, sir. I'm finally cool enough to hang out with Johnny Weekender, so it's fine.
Get going. We've hung out many times before. Back on the NEPA scene days.
Mm-hmm.
We did a podcast. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was.
But now,
even back to like the Panacea, like CD release shows, all that.
Yeah, we go way back. Even there was times where like you were in the same scene as me, but I didn't know you personally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we like became friends, I guess you could say, until I don't know, when I was done with the Weekender. And maybe we knew who we were, but I never got really a chance to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
It was like when you were in the band Behind the Gray, which is kind of when we really started connecting. So I'm sure we'll get into that.
Word.
But yeah, it's been a long time since we've hung out, and we're not even hanging out for real. But it is 2022, and we're still kind of in a pandemic. I don't even know what that's considered anymore.
I honestly have no idea, man. It's such a bizarre situation. Like even like buying concert tickets now for like big shows, like out here, like PNC Bank Arena and stuff. It's like it's still a crapshoot between like vaccinated and testing and masking. It's like, is it happening? Is it going on? Because when I go to work, it's not. But when I go to a concert, it is. Like it's weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird situation. Like it's different wherever you go. Kind of like we were saying. It's like there's times where no one's wearing a mask and people are like crammed together, and it's like it was in 2019. And then there's other times where it's like weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But you said where you are now out there. Where I think I saw on social media you moved.
yeah. I moved out to South Jersey. I'm basically like way closer to Philadelphia than I am New Jersey. But yeah, I moved out to South Jersey like almost a year ago, maybe a little bit under.
So you decided to hell with NEPA.
No, I fell in love.
So, I see. I see.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's what they do to us. Well, good. I mean, I'm happy for you. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's really cool out here because like it is like a fresh perspective, especially with like music and people and like, the NEPA scene is like still my home. Like obviously the band is still there, but like I'm here, which, through the power of the internet allows us to still function.
Now, what band are you talking about? The new band?
Yes, Variant Season.
Variant Season. That's what we're here to talk about mainly. But like we said a few minutes ago, there's a long history of Will and NEPA with bands tied to the area. So yeah, I hopefully we'll get into all of that.
Sweet.
But yeah, so you're in New Jersey now. You fell in love. Girl took you away.
Yeah.
About a year now, huh?
We just celebrated our year anniversary the end of March. So yeah, it's been incredible out here. She has an amazing daughter who just turned 11, and like she's awesome. And I got a new job out here, which is incredible as well. Yeah, everything is just knock on wood, it's the best my life has ever been.
Well, that's what's supposed to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You go through life and you eat the shit sandwich for a couple years, and not that you ever had a bad life, right? But I mean, there's always things that people like want or need in their lives, and it's always nice when everything kind of falls into place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of, it's the question of like, this is the part of life, like, wow, this is what it's supposed to be, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you say that because my wife and I, we just celebrated. Today's April 7th. This will probably be released in the next week or so. But today's April 7th. We celebrated 14 years together dating. April 5th.
Dang.
Yeah, it's a long time.
How old is your child at this point?
My son is 4.
Oh Jesus.
He's 4.
'Cause I think the last time like we hung out was when we did the live broadcast, and I think he was like maybe 1 or 2,
Maybe. I don't know
maybe.
anymore. I can't keep
Oh,
track.
dang.
But yeah, 2008. So yeah, so it'd be 14 years. Best thing that ever happened to me. So, I know how you feel right now. And yeah, it's funny how that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what I did to deserve her. I don't know. I'm
you
still
have you asked that question too, huh?
14 years later. I'm still like, is she gonna smarten up eventually and leave or what?
I tell her all the time, like, please, like, whatever is wrong with your eyes, or like, just don't repair it, because once you do, like, this is all a facade.
Yeah,
Like,
this isn't
you'll
gonna
go away.
change. This is yeah.
Yeah, I can't even say like I'm cool and like play like in a band every weekend and stuff anymore now. So like, I don't even have that to lean on. So it's just me sitting around playing guitar at home. Like, I used to be cool.
Yeah, I guess we all used to be cool, right?
Yeah.
It's funny how we grow up and things change. It's unfortunate. You know,
Mhm.
it's good and bad. I miss the days of going out and not having real responsibilities. And I mean, I love my life now. I mean, I even it's I shouldn't say it's funny because the reason this happened is not a funny story, but a friend was getting, in the middle of a divorce, and and he had children, and I knew how hard that must have been on him. And he had 3 kids, and I was like, I have 1, and I could not imagine not being able to say goodnight to my son every
Mhm.
night. And I said to my wife, I said, if anything ever happens between you and I just live wherever you live, and you can do your own thing, but I just can't imagine not being able to say goodnight to my kid.
Mhm. I, I think it's the level of fatherhood that you proudly wear, and
Yeah.
I think there's not enough people like that. So I think that's awesome.
Well, yeah, I hope nothing happens between me and my wife
No.
because she's good too.
Hmm.
Yeah. But and we have one on the way. One we have
Woo!
she's due in July. Yeah.
July what?
July 17th.
Oh, you missed my birthday by 2 days. Dang.
Well, I mean, there's a good chance she goes earlier than that, not later. So if you're the 19th, sorry, you're out of luck, but
Nah, 15th, man. It's gotta
maybe.
happen.
Who knows?
It's
Who
karma at
knows?
this point.
If it was going to be a boy, I'd name him William after you.
Oh, you're a scholar and a gentleman.
But
You're
it's
very
but it's a girl. It's a girl. So sorry.
Wilhelmina.
It's a girl, and I'm terrified. 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 I know how like I am with my son and how much I don't ever want to see anything bad happen to him. And he's a boy, right? And
Mhm.
but you can let boys be boys and whatever. But like if I'm that way with my son, I can't imagine how like protective I'm gonna be with a little girl.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And
I
then
have
I'm also
no
go
I
ahead.
have no like experience with children whatsoever. Like, I have no brothers or sisters, nieces, nephews, anything like that. So when Cash and I got together, like, this was, no safety belt, no safety net. Like, this is how I operate. And she had been a single mom for, a while, and kind of doing it herself. But like, you know, Madeline obviously being like a girl, I'm like, I don't know, like, it's like Barbies and unicorns and like all that stuff. And like our first meeting, she was like hardcore into Marvel comics, hardcore into like Star Wars, video games. And I was like, you're the most awesome person ever.
Yeah, you
Like,
fit right in. Now your
yeah,
girlfriend has 2 kids,
yeah, basically.
right?
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I just don't want to share my toys.
Yeah.
So like when I moved out here, I brought like my whole comic book collection, and I was like, hey, like all those movies you watch, like boom, this
Yeah.
is where they come from.
She's probably like, what is a DVD? What is that? I don't understand what that is.
No, she got that, but it's the age gap. She doesn't get my jokes. She doesn't think I'm funny. So, but I'm hilarious. She'll
Of
find that out
course.
one day. Yeah, I'm
Of course.
hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Of course. Yeah, my biggest concern is my daughter looking like my wife. Because if that's the
Mm,
case, I'm in big trouble. And I'm not getting younger and more fit. I'm getting older and fatter. So it's like I'm going the wrong way. So I'm not
mm,
gonna be that intimidating father. So thankfully I have Lincoln, who will hopefully be a young stud and strong and take care of his little sister. So that's what I'm holding on to.
Hang on to it, buddy.
See what happens. We'll see what happens. But let's talk about you and your music. And you mentioned you got a new band,
Yep,
Variant Season, and three members: JT Thomas, Dan McDonald, who I believe was also in Behind the Gray with you.
correct.
Okay, and then Mark Yanish. Mark is famous for his time spent in Grace's Downfall.
Hmm.
He's the young man with used to have the dreads at all the shows. He's a little more grown up now these days. But so are all of those guys local to NEPA still, and you're the odd man out in New Jersey?
Yeah, because the project started almost 2 years ago.
Oh,
Uh,
geez, wow.
yeah, it was a long trek, and it started with Yanish, because basically, like, everyone knows him as, the fantastic, amazing guitar player that he is.
Hmm.
And he basically said, like, I'm sick of guitar. It doesn't scare me anymore. I want to play drums. And he just went on this incredible journey of becoming an amazing drummer. And yeah, he wanted to do like a cover band initially, like 2 years ago. He's like, I want to like play all these songs. Like, I want to play songs I love. I want to play bands that I like, and I just want to make some money and have fun. And I was like, sweet, like that sounds like a fun gig for me. So it's going to be like a side project for me from Behind the Gray, and a side project from him between like Grace's Downfall and Doubting Thomas. And unfortunately, like that didn't really come to fruition because we couldn't find like people that really wanted to like learn all the songs and get up to speed and everything like that. And then the pandemic hit, and it just really shelved everything. So for almost a year, it was just me and Mark, and we learned a bunch of covers, like all stuff that was like challenging and things that we all kind of like said in other bands we wanted to learn, but like for whatever reason we never didn't. And at one point, like I told him, like I was not in a good place mentally, and I told him like I really need to like write. I'll learn whatever songs you want, I'll play whatever you want, but like just give me the opportunity to write. And he's like, dude, I'm cool with that, but like I've never written a song on drums before. I was like, cool, like we'll figure it out. And we got together one day, and like I had most of the music. Ironically, the first song we ever wrote together was Dragged Under. So like I had most of the music, and we just got together in my garage, well, my old garage at the time, and we just like hammered it out. And like I'd play like a good chunk of it, and he would just kind of improv, and he would like stop midway through. He'd be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I'm like, it's cool. Have fun. Figure it out. And he would just woodshed for like 3 hours a day. And we just like put the song together, and it like helped him develop his voice as a writer on drums. And it became like a creative outlet for me. And it just kind of blossomed into what it is now.
Yeah, he documented a lot of his um, drum learning
Hmm.
on social media, and it was he definitely struggled at first. I mean, like anybody would learning
Oh, yeah.
something new, right?
Hmm.
So it's kind of neat to see him go from the guitar to becoming a drummer, and then struggling even after learning how to drum. Now he's learning how to like write
Oh,
or
yeah.
or whatever So that's interesting.
It's one of those things, like Mark's personality is he needs a challenge. So if it's not insanely challenging, like I don't think it interests him. So like it was one of those things where if this came easy, I think it would have bored him and he would have moved on to something else. But because drums are a constant learning curve and he was so new to it, he just like absorbed it all. And like anyone who knows Mark knows, like if he sets his mind to something, it's going to be the best at it. So like if he's going to play guitar, he's going to be the best guitar player possible. He's going to play drums, he's going to be the best drummer possible. If that dude's going to make a sandwich, it's going to be the best sandwich you've ever had in your life. Like whatever he wants to do, he wants to be the best at. So like it was like this amazing opportunity to have like someone that never wanted to compromise and never wanted to like make it easy.
And how did JT and Dan get involved?
Dan's, basically my brother. Like, we came up together. He taught me how to play guitar, however many years ago. I'm not comfortable saying because we've been together that long. So when we started writing, I was like, listen, I'd love to bring Dan into this because Behind the Gray was very like nebulous. Like we weren't really doing anything. And, as soon as Dan came in, he was just Dan and we connected. And, having Mark as a backbone was an amazing foundation to bring on. And it was a long journey to find a singer. We probably tried out 7, 8 people. And it's not that like the people we tried out weren't good or amazing. It was just like a lot of times they were either in other projects and like this was a side project for them and they weren't really like able to commit time to it, or they had like other things in their life going on and they're like, hey, I don't really have the time for this, or they weren't interested in writing or interested in covers, or they were only interested in doing covers and they weren't interested in writing. So JT was like that perfect mix because I believe he was only in Doubting Thomas for like one show in a couple of months, and I heard him sing it's a Shinedown song, Sound of Madness. I was like, is that how he sounds like all the time? And Mark's like, yeah, like that's just him. And he crushed it. And I was like, dude, do you like heavier stuff? He's like, yeah, I dig like heavy stuff like Slipknot and Corey Taylor and like that whole vibe. I was like, do you want to try doing something with this? And when we presented it to him, he just went, okay. And he like just fit, like he just locked in. And we were just like, cool, off to the races. Let's make this work.
I feel like you as an individual are also very demanding, and I don't use that word as a negative thing, but I feel like you're very particular, and there's another word I want to use. I can't think of it off the top of my head here, but you're very just like, you know what you want, you know what you need, and you're not gonna settle.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That's fair. You said it the very nicest way possible. Some previous bandmates and my ex-girlfriend will probably call me much worse. But yeah.
I mean, it's like, some people can look at that as a bad thing, right? But I mean, now I'm not going to compare you to Michael Jordan because I mean, Michael Jordan's Michael Jordan, but like he was very like he expected greatness. And like a lot of his teammates thought he was an asshole, but look at who he was. So I mean, like, again, I mean, we're talking about Michael Jordan and a musician. Not that they can't be the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay to know what you want and expect greatness.
I always think it's good to have like a vision and a goal and things like that. And very early on, when I got really serious into music, like 10 years ago, I realized like I am not the most talented guitar player. Like my skill level is at like a plateau. It can only go so far for me, but my work ethic is far superior than my musical skill. So like that's my gift, is basically like my music, my music level will keep me here, but my drive and my work ethic will keep me here. So like having someone like Mark and Dan in the band who have higher musical skill than me, but have the same drive, and be like, hey, like let's get to here. Let's move to here. Let's get to this. And that's I guess that's like my contribution to the band.
Sure.
Is, surround yourself by people that are amazing, and also just like you said, don't settle. And Mark's really good with that too. Like he never wants to settle for anything.
Yeah, I mean, people like you keep people on task. They keep people motivated, and they see that you're in it and that you want the best. And when you're around people like that, you don't want to let them down. So yeah, what you're saying is like they meet you at the level you're at, and it's a good compliment all around.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
It's all good stuff. So variant season. Did that name come from living in a pandemic when we have?
No, it was so pre that it like fit perfectly, and ironically, like the first iteration of the band, we were still looking for a bass player. So Grant Collins or Grant Williams, whatever acronym he's going by these days, Um, he was originally playing bass with us, and this was like uh, summer 2020 ish, and we were writing and learning songs and everything like that. So you had like Mark, who was from Graces, and Grant, who was, from Tommy Guns and Grace's Downfall. Dan and I were from Behind the Gray. Then you had JT, who was in uh, Doubting Thomas. There's this thing that happens in any PA scene like every year or two, where like two or three of the major bands kind of like break up, but then they do something together. Like you always see them kind of like fusing,
Mhm.
like Ashfall was one of those bands that was kind of like a member would leave, but then you'd get like Germ from Spit Can, like another major band would like infuse into it and give that band like a new life or a new something. And it's always like this period of time. So it's like the season of change.
Okay.
So I was kind of like, this is that time in our scene now where that's happening. This is that season of change where all the musicians are hodgepodging into new projects. So we couldn't call the band Seasons of Change because that was just way too cheesy. So like Variant Season kind of seemed to be the next logical progression of that thought line.
Yeah, I feel like if you named it Seasons of Change, you'd have to play Creed like music.
That would not affect me whatsoever. I'll play every Creed song ever.
I wouldn't be mad at you. I wouldn't be mad at you at all. But from the sound that comes out of Variant Season, it doesn't really match the band name Seasons of Change.
No.
I appreciate. Are you a Nickelback fan too? Did we discuss this before?
We have not, but I do like Nickelback.
Creed and Nickelback. We are best friends.
Dude, Mark Tremonti is like one of my guitar idols, guitar gods. Like his solo albums, Alter Bridge, even the last two Scott Stapp solo records, I love. I think they're fantastic. And like I've seen Creed 2 or 3 times, and we opened for them once at Montage. Maybe you were there. But it was with Skillet.
I was there for that show. It was
Yeah.
2010, I want to say.
Yeah, because I was in Absolution and we did the Weekender stage.
Absolution, that's the one.
Yeah.
Absolution.
Mm-hmm. So we opened that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, think of Creed and they think of the, and there's no fault of their own, but the videos and Scott Stapp with his arms out and the wind blowing and his hair kind of blowing around, and then it's like mental breakdown. They forget about the fact that, like, you said Mark Tremonti is an excellent guitar player. And yeah, I mean, I love that band. I don't care what anyone says.
I'm with you, man. I think they're awesome. They have so many hits, and you don't sell like 40 million records without being one of the biggest bands ever.
It's amazing how many people hate them. And it's like, well, the people who love them outnumber how many people hate them, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that.
But Variant Season, that's a cool name. I like that better than Seasons of Change for sure.
Well, I did something right so far.
Well, you put out a song maybe a month ago or so. You mentioned it earlier, Dragged Under.
Mm-hmm.
It's available on the streaming services. Is there a plan for this band now that we're kind of hopefully, getting out of the pandemic, where shows are at least being announced, and a lot of them are happening. Some are getting canceled, but you're in Jersey, other guys are here. Is new music being made? Do you plan on playing shows? What's the whole goal for this project?
We spent, once we really got the lineup together, we probably spent the last year recording. So we have a backlog of material that's already recorded, and it's already, mastered and mixed and everything. AJ Larson mixed it for us because the plan was I was going to record and do everything. And then, the pandemic happened, and unfortunately, I went through a nasty breakup. So I had to uproot my whole studio mid-recording, and then I moved to Jersey. So that, I became the squeaky wheel as far as that goes. So I ended up recording everything, but AJ Larson mixed it all for us. And we're going to just drop singles pretty regularly. And we're planning on our first show June 4th at the V-Spot. We're going to open up for Brutality for their EP release show with Slapjaw and Cruel Bomb, and it's going to be awesome. But a little nervous because I've never had to be in a band where I was in two separate states. So that's rehearsal and getting ready for the show is a lot of email back and forth, and a lot of like group chat discussion and trying to like set up, rehearsal times and like days, like, a couple months in advance, because Mark's obviously gigging all the time, and JT lives in Lehighton, and Dan has his job and everything else that's on top of that. So getting everyone's schedule together has been a masterful use of Google Calendar.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
It's hard, man, especially when like you said, jobs, and there's kids, and there's life in general. It's
Yep.
tough to maneuver. What was I going to ask you? AJ, is that the guy from Don't Panic?
Yes.
Very cool. I love
Yeah.
those guys.
hmm Met him the last Behind the Gray EP we did at Soundmine, and he did a lot of the patchwork to try and fix our last EP that was had a lot of recording issues. There was no fault of the band's, but uh, we brought to Soundmine, and AJ was engineering and fixing a lot of those issues with us. And he's just an excellent guy. Like, we share a lot of same musical tastes. Like, he likes a lot of like Periphery and gent and heavy music, but obviously plays in Don't Panic, so like that pop punk era. And he's an awesome mix engineer too. Like, he really killed it on the mixes for us.
That's cool. I shouldn't say I'm surprised, because I shouldn't be surprised. But the fact that like this whole band has a ton of stuff recorded and mixed and ready to go,
Mhm.
and it kind of came out of nowhere, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, this is the new band now, and oh, by the way, we have a bunch of stuff like ready to
Yeah,
go.
that was the plan. Like,
Yeah.
it very much was the plan for a while. It took much longer than we wanted it to. We wanted to be out sooner. The guys are really kind of chomping to play shows. Unfortunately myself, like, that was kind of on me a lot, because I said like I wanted to record everything myself. Like, I really wanted to take on that challenge. I wanted to do everything in house. I wanted to do all that. And then my living situation and relocating and trying to finish things, like my studio ended up in 3, potentially 4 different locations while we were recording these songs. And we were actually like, I had a storage unit, and part of it was at my dad's house, and part of my computer, I think, was at Mark's house. So like, I had my studio computer and everything set up in his house, and we were tracking the demos and the rough cuts to inevitably track. And then once we were done, I'd take my computer back to my dad's house, unload as much as I could into my old bedroom that I grew up in, and just put it into that room to record guitars. And then I recorded JT's vocals out here in Jersey. And it was like the first thing I did out here was get JT's vocals knocked out. So it was all over the place to get it done.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It was insane. It was an insane amount of work.
Most people, and I'm not surprised that you pushed through, but a lot of people would have been like, "Fuck this!" Like, I'm like gonna crawl in a hole, or forget that this even exists. Like, I'm not doing all this until I get settled back in somewhere and kind of in one place. But no, you're the one going from this house to that house and taking this computer there and taking that there. What kept I mean, what kept you like wanting to like do that?
I had this conversation very similar with a friend of mine who owns a studio in Virginia, and he also plays in a band out there. And we were talking about like this whole process and like how much work goes into recording. And he's like, dude, like, we're old. Like, why are we still doing this? And like, it's because it's who we are. Like, it's in our blood. It's like, I wouldn't know how to define myself if I wasn't doing stuff like that. And for better or for worse, like, this is how I know how to deal with my problems. Like, music is that turn to of like, my life has fallen apart. This is what I need to get it out. And this has been the most collaborative project I've ever been in. So like, working on lyrics and melody and stuff like that with JT, and JT going through a lot of his own emotional distress over the last year, and us just having that awesome time to talk about our problems and to talk about like what's going on with us, and it found its way like into the music and into the songs, because a lot of the instrumental was kind of done already, so we were putting a lot of like vocals and melody idea and like restructuring things to make vocals work. So to be able to like talk about these problems and then put them into the songs, like we were more excited to get them out, because I'm like, this is my life on tape. This is JT's life on tape. This is the parts about ourselves that we don't talk to much in public. This is the personal stuff we really want to get out. And that was kind of the focus of this project, was not less refined, but emotionally, like it was like an open nerve. Like this is us, not filtering for radio success or filtering for this type of song structure or this type of band. We're like, we're gonna write what we want, and this is in the moment, what we're feeling, what we're going through, and what we're gonna put out. And JT was kind of like that lightning rod that was like, my life is fucked up and things are not good and I'm not happy. This is what's going on. And we just kind of like, I understand. I got you. Let's get behind that. Let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that, we go through these things, and, these last 2 years have not made any of our lives any easier. And you've alluded to the fact that, your life has been less than um
It hasn't been easy.
chaos, right? Chaos.
Yeah.
So let's call it that. And I mean, prior to the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, you were also a part of a band for many years, and I thought the band was having a lot of success. And
Mhm.
we're talking about Behind the Gray. Um, some great music videos, with a lot of great singles attached to that band, and I thought it was like, you know, driving to the next level. And then suddenly the band kind of just disappeared.
Yeah.
Um, did something happen there? I mean, I know that I know I follow Dom, who was a lead singer in that band. I think he just had a baby,
Yep.
and maybe a year ago at this point. Like I said, I can't remember what yesterday was, but did the band just outgrow itself, or did people just kind of go different ways? Was there a falling out somewhere? What happened to the Behind the Gray? Because no one acknowledged it.
It wasn't a falling out per se. Like we weren't fighting or anything like that. It was a perfect storm of things that kind of went sour, or things that went south. And some bands get real lucky where things just kind of fall into line for them. For us, like things were going good. Like we had a single and a new EP released and a music video, and we booked up the year with good shows, like shows with good national bands that we were going to be support for, good ticket selling shows. Our attendance was doing really good at shows, and right around that time, our bass player was having his second kid, his second daughter, and it was a very complicated pregnancy, and he almost lost the baby in the process. And she spent, I want to say, like I can't remember because it was so long ago, maybe like 3 weeks in an emergency lifeline unit. I think it was in like Stroudsburg
Yeah.
around that time. And Dom had just found out he was going to be a dad right around that time as well. So B-Man was on to his second kid, and obviously that was complicated. Dom was getting ready to be a father, so his focus was very much on being a dad and not traveling, because that's what dads are supposed to do, is
Sure.
take care of family first. And then right around that time in February, my mom had passed away, and that was like the month before we went to the March shutdown of 2020. And like I told the guys right around that time, I think it was in like the group chat, I'm like, I don't want to book shows. And at that point, I was booking a lot of the shows. Mike was doing a lot of the press stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do any of that shit anymore. Like, you guys do it. Let me know what happens, and I'll just show up with my guitar. And with the shutdown, like we got some cool show offers, and then those shows didn't happen because of the pandemic. And then as time went by, like I just kind of pushed myself more into variant season, because that was my outlet. Because obviously, like Behind the Gray wasn't doing anything. Dan was there with me, so like I felt pretty complete because, that member was there. He was like a big support system for me. And as time went on, it just became less and less like doable. I think everyone's interest may have faded a little bit. B-Man loves being a dad. Like it's his favorite thing ever. And I don't really think he questions like playing bass. He's just like, I'm a dad. That's
Yeah.
what I do. And I know Dom is like, I'm a dad number one. And number two, like when I can, I'll do music. And that's number two. And then for me and Dan, we do we do Variant Season, and Mike plays drums in a band in Virginia called Demise. So like he's been out there a lot. He's been doing some fill-in work, and it just kind of it faded.
It's kind of dissolved. Yeah.
Yeah, like no one has hard feelings towards each other. No one's mad.
That's good. That's good.
It just like we pulled
Life,
ourselves in
man.
different directions. Yeah, we were talking about life just happened.
But you had a really shitty last couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, it's wow. Man, I don't know what to say. That's
it was hard,
terrible.
man.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah, it's you get older and these things start to happen. Obviously, that sounds like it was far too early and far too young, but yeah, it just it's hard. You're right.
Mhm.
I'm glad that nothing internally bad happened between you guys and behind the gray. But yeah, it's great to see. I love the fact that Dom's a dad, right? And I love the fact that your bass player also a dad, and that's his favorite thing, because being a dad is one of my favorite things. So I can relate to that very much. But it's always like, how do I say this without sounding like an asshole? There's always like something left to be said, like, what if we kept pursuing, like what could have been?
Right.
And it's not a bad thing. I mean, we choose these things and we choose to, do these things with our lives. And being a dad is, I wish I would have done it sooner. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm not a musician, so I don't know what that's like to be in that world and then kind of step back from it because there's more important things to do. But
It's definitely a lifestyle change and a choice, and like I think it just comes in time with the person when they become ready. Like uh, I spent my entire life not wanting to have children, not wanting to get married, not wanting to have those things that tied me down, that kept me away from music. And then when I met Cash, and she introduced me to her daughter Madeline, and then I moved out here, and I went, I don't care anymore. Like this is all I want. Like I used to love traveling and touring and trying to get to that next level. I get those equal fulfillments coming home and playing the new Kirby game with her, or playing Donkey Kong, or watching a Marvel marathon with her, and making dinner, and laughing and joking uh, with Cash, and the life that we inevitably want to build together, and like all those things. uh, Music will always be there, and it's always here, and it's a part of me. But like my drive is to be a better foundation for them, and like all those skills I developed in music, I want to turn and use towards them. So like recording a record in 2 different states at 4 different locations, take that drive and put it into my family and with them. Yeah, that's what I want.
yeah, I almost wish, life is short. They always say that. You always hear that when you're younger, and you're like, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, when you're a young kid, you just want to be older. And the old people say, like, enjoy it now. It's like we only have so much time here on this earth. And it's like, I wish we had more time to be like young and reckless and um carefree. Because like what do they say? They say what's the saying? Shit. Something's the youth is wasted on the young, or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, it's a weird thing. I won't even get into it, but I wish we had more time to kind of like give it the old college try, and if it doesn't work out, like okay, like I tried and I did it. But yeah, we're only here for so long. You know, we don't
That's
get
true.
the.
I was like, I didn't think I was going to make it to 30. Like, I thought I was definitely going to be dead for that. Like, I thought I wasn't going to make it. So, like, my goal young, I was like, I got to make it by the time I'm 25. By the time I'm 25, I just got to put it in the bag because I'm going to be too old. And, you know, I lived out of my car. You know, I was essentially homeless at certain points in my life. I did really sketchy things to get to the next levels that I was trying to get to just to be able to survive as a human being. And, you know, I was able to tour the country a couple of times. You know, I was able to put out a bunch of records. I've been able to go to big name studios. And by the time I got to 26, I kind of crossed off all the things I wanted to do like on my list. And then I got to that scary place where I'm like, what more do I want?
Yeah.
Because I got there, I'm like, I'm not really happy, but I got there.
Mm-hmm.
So like trying to find happiness and, you know, have your goals was like a new challenge as a musician and as a person.
Yeah, that's true too. Life's funny. You ever? How old are you now?
I'm 37.
37. So you're around my age. I'm 39. Um, now that you've made it past 30,
Yeah.
you're 7 years past 30. Like, I don't know about you, but I start thinking about like I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 in November, right?
Mhm.
And I've been recently starting to think about like, let's say I live till I'm 80. You know, like hopefully longer than that, right? But like 80 sounds like a fair age to, you know, live to. Essentially, my life is halfway over. So
Mhm.
I have 40 years left, right? And out of those 40 years, how many of those years are going to be good years? Meaning, you know, how many do I have left that are like, you know, pain free? I'm not, don't need like a knee surgery or anything like that. You know, God forbid, anything bad happens, right?
Mhm.
20, maybe 20.
I don't know. I was having this conversation like a while ago because I kept thought about the same thing because like by the time I got to like 30, 35, I was like, I don't know like what the hell I'm supposed to do now. Like, you know, I accomplished a lot of things I wanted to accomplish, but like how much time do I have left to do the next batch of goals? And Grant was telling me, he's like, think of all the things you did from like the point you can remember to 35. You have another 35 to do that again, to do like the next group of things. Like it's not the end or the halfway mark. It's like the next benchmark.
Okay.
And once you get to that next 35, like you could have another 35. There's another increment after that.
I like
Like,
that.
and there's like this, you know, I think when people look at their life, like, you know, how long do I have until my first knee surgery or till I get sick or too old to do something? I think if people are just, you know, I hate to say it, but responsible, you know, like the guy that's 40 and still getting drunk on a Tuesday and like, you know, kind of looking like the poster child of liver cirrhosis
I,
should
f-
not, you know, is
I
not
feel
gonna
I
live a
feel
good life.
I feel attacked. Are you watching me?
No, I would never do such a
Are you
thing.
watching me? Are there cameras in my house?
I think it's important, like, you know, take care of your, and you know, Mark really drove that into me in the last year. Like, take care of yourself. You know, like he's a big advocate for going to the gym. He's very advocate for that. So like, you know, I got a gym membership. I started going with him, and like realizing like I can't do the excess things that are going to hurt me in the long run, and that helps me to do the things I love to do. So now I can be 37 and still, you know, stay awake all night if I needed to, or, you know, things like that. Cause like I'm not broken yet.
Yeah. Yet. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're preserving yourself. That's good.
I'm trying.
I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that at all. I keep saying every day, like I gotta start doing something. I'm getting older. I'm getting fatter, like I said before.
Mhm. Once you start, like it's not as bad as it seems. The weirdest, craziest thing is like people put all this planning into like wanting to be healthy or lose weight. Like I'm going to buy all these weights. I'm going to buy like a training program, and I'm going to redo my basement to suit my new workout lifestyle. And I buy all these protein mixes and all these organic foods and all this stuff. Just start.
Hmm.
Start with one thing. If you wake up every day and just stretch for 10 minutes, you're better than you were yesterday.
Right.
Just start with one thing and just build on it. Like you're not going to go to the gym and just become like a monster. Like you're going to start like with tiny dumbbells, feeling like a weakling, and you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Or like just start.
See, last time I did anything was like 9 years ago. Jesus. I was 30 years old. I got in the best shape of my life, but it was a miserable existence to do so. It wasn't sustainable. And I think that's like my fault, but like I was kind of paid to do it. And it was a thing for an advertiser when I was at the Weekender. So I put my fat ass on a photo in the Weekender. So I couldn't like, post it 4 months later after we did this fitness challenge and still be fat. So that kept me going. But like it was 5 days at the gym. I was weighing every single meal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just miserable. Like I'd have like a drink or two a week, and it was always a vodka and like Sprite. It wasn't even enjoyable. It wasn't even like worth having at that point. Um, it just wasn't like, and then like I don't like, as far as cooking goes, I don't get like nuts. So like I was literally having chicken, broccoli, and like wheat pasta.
Yep.
Like it was miserable. It just and I think, I think back on all the work that I put into that. It was just, and it's like it's exhausting to think about at this point in my life. But what you're saying is you're right. You're just, if you do something, whether it's a couple body weight squats or
Yeah.
stretching or just going for a freaking walk.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to try and get nuts, but you do have to.
You can always try eliminating something too, which has always helped for me, because like I have a problem with TV. TV is just like I'll just get into something, and that's what I want to do, and I want to finish it to completion, and I want to like do that whole thing. So if I feel myself like slipping, I'll just cut one thing out. Like I'll cut TV out, and I'll just replace TV with guitar, or I'll replace one thing with working out, and I'll say like I have to sacrifice one thing in my day to be better. So I just find the one thing and I say like I'm going to eliminate that, and then I have the time or the energy to do that thing.
That's a good one. That's a good idea too. I like TV too.
It's awful. I love
It's
TV.
so good though.
It is. It is.
Have you still given up TV? Are you still off TV?
I try and limit it to like a little bit, like one or two shows now. So like when I come home, it's like a lot of cooking and prep and things like that. And then once we're done, it's like whatever, like a family kind of like dinner together. And it's like, all right, what are we gonna watch now? And we'll watch like 2 or 3 episodes or something, and that kind of leads Madeline like into like shower bedtime, and then it'll leave Cash and I some alone time.
Mhm.
Or if I'm going to play guitar, I might do it then, or I might do it while I'm cooking, or like on the weekends I try and eliminate it, so I'll do it in the morning. Just football season, I'll just like watch a game, or I'll try and do like one thing and not just binge Sports Center for 8 hours hearing the same news over and over and over again.
If I remember correctly, you are a Lions fan?
I am.
Detroit Lions fan. What are your thoughts about your boy Matt Stafford leaving the Lions, going to the Rams, and
I loved it.
winning it all? Yeah.
I love that Super Bowl, man. Like I was a huge Matt Stafford fan, and watching him go like sucked, because it was the same thing like Matt had said in interviews. Like, he wished he brought a Super Bowl to Detroit, and that's what he wanted. But I think he realized too, like it just wasn't going to happen with the pieces that were around him and the organization that was around him. And watching him like year one do exactly what he did for 10 years at the Lions, but with a different team, and then take it to the highest level possible and win. I was like, that was all I wanted for the guy.
I remember he signed a huge contract with Detroit, and I'm like, I can't believe he's making this much money, because they always stunk.
Hmm.
They always stunk. I'm sorry to say it, but like they were no good.
Hmm.
Um, and lo and behold, it wasn't him. I mean, he's the was he the MVP?
Was the Timber Cooper Cup? I can't remember.
Maybe in Cooper Cup. But I mean, regardless, I mean, yeah, you're one with a new team with some of the right players.
And he
Super Bowl champion.
and he beat some of the best teams out there too. Like he beat, Tom Brady and the Bucks, in the playoffs. So it wasn't like a cakewalk into the Super Bowl for him.
That
You
was a
know,
good game too.
yeah, it
Rams
was really
Bucks.
good. Yeah,
I couldn't believe the ending of that game. I
yeah.
could not believe it. I was sitting there. I'm like, is Tom Brady going to do this again? And then he did it. He did it. I'm like, holy shit, they're going to win this game. And then, yeah, the Rams came back.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's sports are fun.
Yes, they are. I love
What
underdogs.
what show are you into?
Right now, Moon Knight.
Moon
The,
Knight.
yeah, the new Marvel series. So like anything Marvel puts out, I'll go see it.
Get it? Nerds with your comics and shit.
uh,
I'm over here writing it down, like, oh, check that out. You said Marvel. Yeah.
the non show, non like children's show that we watch separately would either be Minx, which is on HBO Max, and Euphoria. Those are like the two shows we kind of watch on our own.
My wife is currently watching Euphoria right now.
I just started season 2, so I'm in like episode 3.
I have not given it a chance, so I this is not fair what I'm gonna say, but from what I've heard, and I mean, it's even in passing. I was actually sitting on the couch. We just put our son down before we jumped on here. I sat down on the couch for 5 minutes, and she put it on because she knows doing this. And I just some of the content I heard, I'm like, "What are you watching?"
Oh yeah,
She's like, "Oh,
it's
Euphoria." I'm like, "At this, it's weird." I'm like, "It's," and those for those of you listening or watching this, I mean, from what I ever understood, it's like these young kids and their lives that revolve around sex and drugs and
yep,
is that correct? Okay.
yeah. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah, but it's
And,
weird though because like they're young. Like I mean, the characters, the actors that are in this are above the age of 18, but they're acting as like 16, 17 year olds.
17-year-old kids, yeah,
That's weird to me. I
yeah.
don't know if I could
It's
do it. Like I'm not saying like you should feel any kind of way.
mhm.
It's just this is me. This is me being whatever I'm being. But I don't know. Maybe it's good. It could be awesome. The guys at work watch it. I mean, like, whatever.
I think it's cool. I think some of those like grittier shows, like I've always just really enjoyed, just because I don't think they give like a fresh perspective, but I think they they're very eye opening,
Hmm.
and they can give you like a nice insight either into a life that you haven't led, or an insight to a life you have led and you never looked at it that way.
Mm.
So you're like, oh, like I used to be like that person, or I know somebody like that person, and like it gives you that kind of perspective. And the show is a little more tongue in cheek, like it's that breaks the fourth wall. So like there's a narrator and she talks to the camera. That Zendaya girl, like she basically narrates the whole thing. So like those kind of shows I've always been really intrigued by, and it's shot really unique and really different. So like it's not very shocking to be shocking. It's very like, wow, like that's a real interesting way to like look at, you know, a cinematography issue or cinematography way of looking at that.
I can appreciate that. I'm over here watching the Jersey Shore.
I'm sorry.
I say I love drama. I love drama. That's not my own. I try and keep my life very drama free. I have like very minimal, like maybe zero.
Mhm.
Um, but I like other people's fucking drama.
Yeah, I guess I could understand that. I don't do the reality shows that much, and like a lot of the reality shows that we're on, like I loved, they get canceled.
Yeah.
Or like, do you remember? This is going way back in the day, like the Battle for Ozfest show. It was on
No.
MTV. There was a bunch of like no-name bands in like 2008, 2009, and they're all like competing to get a spot on Ozfest. And they would just go on the Ozfest tour, and they would have to be like roadies and techs and like put up with Zach Wild and like his nonsense and like the inner bickering that would happen on that show. I'm like, you guys are idiots. Like, like you guys are just moron. And like I was just sucked into it and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So like even Behind the Music was one of those for me.
Yeah.
So like just listening to bands like argue and do all that, like yeah, I can understand the whole like I want to hear the juicy details.
Yeah. So it's funny you brought up reality TV. Well, I guess I did first, but uh I guess up until the middle of March, I was auditioning to be on a reality show.
Nice.
Um, I can't say the name of it, but it was on a decent network. It was the same network that had Naked and Afraid. It wasn't that show in particular, but same group that kind of casts for that and all that kind of stuff. And I made it to the finals, which meant you have the opportunity to interview like one last time to be chosen or whatever. That was March, I want to say 14th. I had that interview, and they haven't called to say yes or no. I'm assuming they probably passed, or I'm hoping that maybe like the show just didn't get picked up, or they just decided not to do it, so I could say like, oh yeah, I was there.
Mhm.
But the um, the whole process was interesting, and obviously reality TV is not reality at all. It's, I mean,
Right.
it was just a bizarre experience for me. This girl reached out to me on Instagram, and I thought it was like this joke at first, like just some kind of spam. And I'm like, "Is this a joke?" And she's like, "No." She just sent me all this like email. She emailed me all this like information. And I looked into it and I did some research, and it was sure as shit it was legit. But like, well, the stuff they wanted from me was like exhausting. Like they wanted me to send all these like they wanted me to send like almost 100 different photos, and they wanted me to send videos, and I would send them and they would ask for more, and they were like, we want you to like we want you to send us some like candid stuff, like you at work doing like everyday things. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know what the word candid means? Like
Yeah.
I don't have like I don't have a photographer like hired that like follows me around all day just snapping photos. Like I don't live my life like that. Like I'm 39 years old. Like I'm on social media, but I'm not like I'm not doing the whole like selfie duck face shit like that. And I don't know how I got to as far as I got, because like I'm not interesting, right? I'm just like, and maybe I think that's what it was. Like maybe they wanted the overweight dad who was like very vanilla, and that was like, we got this guy to be that guy,
You're
because
gonna
I'm
be the
not.
Joey Fatone of
Maybe,
yeah, you're gonna be the Joey Fatone. I'd be all about it.
dude, I had a 2 hour Zoom interview. It was like it was nuts.
Wow.
Like it was, and then like the final interview, I had this girl came on and she's like, okay, listen, like just be you. Like um they latched on to my like love of Joe Rogan. Like they I don't know why, but they were like, tell us more about why you like Joe Rogan. And you know, it was at the time where he's going through a lot of like the racist stuff he was dealing with, and a lot of that's different, those different things. And they latched onto that, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But she's like, they're gonna ask you questions, and they're gonna do this, and they're gonna do that, and they're really gonna try and push your buttons. And I'm like, holy shit, what the hell are they gonna do? Like, what are they gonna ask me? And like that final interview was less invasive than the two I did before that. That was 2 hours long. It was cool, but it was very like bizarre.
It's good to know that the film industry is very similar parallels to the music industry because that's exactly what it is to audition for a band, like a band of above your tier.
Okay.
That's like exactly what it is. And like you won't get a call back of like, oh, we're gonna pass or whatever. You just find out when like the next tour's booked
Right.
or like the music video comes out.
Yeah.
I had a very similar experience in like 2011, 2012 with like a national band. And as I auditioned, I went through a process and they were from Phoenix, Arizona. And as I got to like the final 3 or 4 people or anything like that, they sent me a single. They want me to put my guitar parts to it, send it to them. And I didn't hear back for like weeks. And I was like, oh, I guess it didn't happen. The song later came out, and the guitar player they had play on it was Clint Lowry of Seven Dust.
Mhm.
And I was like, what did you want me to write that was going to be better than this? Like, there was no competition, and like, you didn't hire anyone. You just got the best guitar player of your genre and
Yeah.
had him put gold on your song. Like, there was no way I was going to be able to compete with this. So yeah, I understand that whole process of like, you know, going through this for like months and weeks, and then, well, I guess it was cool experience.
Well, it happened at a bad time too. Like if this happened to me even 5 years ago before my son was born, I would have been like I would have actively been trying to like get this. So like when I was going through the interviews, I didn't care. Like the one interview that I had, like I definitely had some beers prior just to kind of ease the nerves. And then I had probably a few during, and I was probably a little more buzzed than I should have been. But like um I was like, it was almost like a form of self-sabotage because like this would have required me to be away from my wife who is pregnant and my son for 2 months.
Mhm.
Um and I would have missed my trip with the guys to Boston. I have plans to go to Disney in a couple weeks, so I would have missed my son's first trip to Disney. A lot of things happened that I didn't necessarily want to be away from for 2 months or miss.
Right.
So I was like, well, this is cool that's happening. And I'll see how far it goes. And every time I did an interview, like, okay, great. You're on to the next one. I'm like, shit, how is this still happening? How is it what? I'm purposely trying to make myself not a you know, a part of this. And you're calling me back. And it's like, but yeah, it was just like it was bad timing. And first it was like March, April for recording. Then they pushed it back to April, May. And at this point, if they called me, tomorrow and said, get on a plane, like it's too close to when she's due. I don't think that's even possible. But and then they said that, if you win, you can win a life-changing amount of money. But they wouldn't tell me what that number was.
Mm.
And then I started asking people what they would consider to be life-changing. And it was amazing to see how many people viewed that differently.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know what it is for you, but like someone said 10 grand. And I'm thinking to myself, fuck, 10 grand is not going to touch the amount of debt that I'm in.
Right.
I mean, you're going to ask me to be away from my wife and kid for 2 months, like life-changing money. Like I'm thinking $1 million or more, nothing
Right.
less. But it was really cool to hear people give their answers to what they felt was life-changing.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately, after my mom passed, had that situation happen to me where I came into money, and you know, it really did change my life, and like I didn't understand what that term meant until it happened to me. And then, I've been pretty good with managing money like my whole life and everything like that. So like I don't have debt. Like I just, I manage all the way through. Like I'll be patient and wait and sit on the ropes and pay for something rather than go into debt. Like that freaks me out. Like I don't want I don't want debt. But like what the first time I walked into money, it floored me so hard. Like I didn't react for 2 days. Like I didn't want to acknowledge that it happened because it came at like a tragedy too.
Sure.
So like I didn't want that. I didn't want it. And also like this weird thing happened where I felt like I didn't deserve it.
Hmm.
I'm like I didn't do anything. Like I didn't accomplish a goal. I wasn't the
Right.
best at something. It just happened to me. So like yeah, like I understand the levels of what people view money as, because some people need that $10,000 to get one thing off their plate,
Hmm.
to pay off their house, and then they're like, that's all I need. Or like to, I don't know, put their kid through daycare for a year. Like that's all they need for that 1 year.
Yeah.
Like just whatever that thing is, they have that number in their brain and they're like, that will change my life because it'll take that one thing off my plate.
Yeah. It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I asked it. I put it on Facebook. Um, But yeah, I mean, and it's just like I view it as like I want to be set for ever. So I would like want money to pay off my current debt and then enough money to invest where that money can grow. And then also like, you know, do one fun thing with, at the moment, in the moment.
Mm.
But yes, people are at different places in their lives, different things going on. And, 5,000 to one could be a million to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, well, I'm sorry we kind of got off topic. But that's why I also like doing these because it allows us to kind of catch up and talk about our goals and life experiences and the ups and the downs. And
Mhm.
I'm sorry that the last 2 years. Well, I mean, the last year sounds like it's been pretty great, so that's good.
Yeah.
But leading up to that, it's sad to hear about your mom, and um, but you're the type of guy who takes things like that and learns or grows and moves on stronger than ever before. So um it's all good.
It is. Everything's very good. I can I have nothing to complain about my life at this point. Like not
Good.
one thing.
Good. Well, variant season. There is a song available, like I said earlier, on the streaming platforms. It is called Dragged Under. You said the plan is for June 4th for your first show
Yep.
at the V-Spot in Scranton. If you dig variant season, you want to check out Will's previous projects. Behind the Gray put out some great music. I'm assuming that's also out there to stream.
Yeah, it's on the socials. It's everywhere.
Socials, yep. Absolution. Was there anything out there for that?
Yeah, actually. I think the problem is there's so many bands called Absolution. You probably have to like do Absolution and like the album titles, but they actually are on at least on Apple Music and like Spotify. They're out there somewhere.
Cool.
And YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah, Will's been a part of some great bands that have been in and around northeastern Pennsylvania. So check those out. I'm looking forward to more music from you guys in variant season. When can we expect that?
The next single is going to be a song called Falling Out of Place, and it's going to be pretty radically different from Dragged Under, and that will come out at the end of May. I think it's going to be like May 27th, which I think is like the last Friday of May.
Cool.
So that will come out like right before our V-Spot show.
Awesome. Well, best of luck with this band.
Thank you, man.
Hope you continue to stay happy with the girlfriend and being a stepdad-ish kind of thing. Is that fair to say? A role model. Role model. How about that?
I'm trying to be that. That's just the goal.
Good. Well, continue enjoying all that, and hopefully, I'll see you soon. It's probably been. I think you came into the studio at the radio station. That's probably the last time I saw you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did a podcast for Alt Natives, right? Or an interview for the show.
Yeah, because we were doing the CD release.
Yes.
So like that was like the last we were around.
It's probably 3 years ago, at least, if not longer.
It's gotta be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad things are going well for you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And I look forward to seeing you on the internet continuing to do well.
Hopefully, and then congratulations on the next child, and
yes,
hopefully you don't get called for your reality TV show.
I know. Part like my wife, I know she's supportive, but I also think she's like, oh yeah, he won't get very far. And I think as like I got further and further along, she's kind of like, oh shit, I didn't think he'd get this far. What's going on here?
Yeah.
But I think we're both happy that I didn't get a call yet. So I've been tempted to reach out to them, being like, hey, just want to see if like you picked somebody, or I'm assuming I'm out, but I'm also like, I don't want to like even be on the radar at this point.
Right. Exactly.
But we'll see. I'll let you know what if the show actually airs or gets greenlit. I will. I'll tell you about it. But yeah, I don't want to talk about it just yet. But I'll let you know.
I would like to put that on my evening binge list if it does.
Dude, I mean, I hope it does air, and I can be like, I was supposed to be on that show.
Mm-hmm.
I could have been on that show, but I got drunk during an interview. Dude, I couldn't believe it when they called me after that one. I was like, something's going on. Like, I'm not that interesting. I'm not that funny. I'm not like, I think it was the overweight dad who was married with a child on the way that they kind of wanted to, extract me from, to see how I would just, cope with that. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I think you undersell yourself pretty hard sometimes, because like I don't think you would have gotten into the positions that you've gotten into and been able to touch base with the artists and the people that you have touch base with and build these relationships if you weren't, interesting, if you didn't have something that was not quantified, through math or likes or follows or anything like that. So I think there's underselling yourself at some point, man.
I do appreciate that. I just, for me, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy. That's it.
Well, look at
I
all of our heroes, man. Like you said, Joe Rogan and like, my musical heroes, like they're all just guys.
yeah, I
They're
guess
all
you're right.
they're all just they just got something that other people can't, you know, uh, match. Like, it's just something that's not mathematically able to be found yet.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I appreciate that. I really do.
Anytime, buddy.
And it was great talking to you. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yes, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Peace.
All right, later.